Hi guys, welcome back to QNAP Live Broadcast. I'm Sam, your host for the topic today. And today we invite our PM Alfred here because we are going to show you kind of a thing that we've never told you before. Is a software, third-party software is called Teradici,
Yes.
right? Yeah, and speaking of Teradici, I think some of you have known about it, and if a lot of people like me that is the first time to hear about this software, well, we will introduce what is this software, and maybe you have used a similar function or software before, and today we're going to show you a better solution. So the slide is about a guide to use the Teradici PCoIP solution. Well, the PCoIP is very special, and maybe that is the unique or exclusive function from the Teradici, I guess, right? And today we're going to show you how to use this function, the software, the solution with a QNAP NAS. But before that, we want to let you know that currently we know we have several different ways to connect to a VM desktops. Like for me, I will use remote desktop, or sometimes I will use TeamViewer or something else. Okay, so what are the ways for you to connect to a remote desktop, or maybe a VM desktops? And then the second part is we will let you know the remote access tools, like what is the popular or the mostly seen used remote access tool in the market. Then we will show you the solution of the Teradici PCoIP solution, and we will let you know in detail what is this solution and software. Then we will give you a simple demo. So we will start from the different ways to connect to a VM desktop. So please, Alfred.
Okay, nice to meet you, everyone. So what kind of ways to connect the VM desktop? As you can see, there are 4 ways we can access the VMs running on top of our QNAP NAS. The first one will be the easiest one, is the web browser. So if you already have the QNAP NAS and then use a virtualization station, and then you will figure out that once your VM has been installed, and then you can use the web browser such as the Google Chrome, Firefox to access your VM desktop. It's quite easy. Just launch the web. And then the second way is about if you require the GPU acceleration, and then you can plug in the discrete GPU card and pass it to the VM, so that the VM desktop can be shown in via the HDMI output. And the third one is if your NAS has an HDMI output, and then you already installed a hybrid desktop station, then you will find out this is a QVM, the shortcut icon on the desktop, and then you can just use that to operate your VM desktop as well. And then the last part is about a remote access tool. Actually, it depends on what you need. Most of them are very useful and very easy to use, such as the VNC. And also, if you are using the Windows VM, then you may use the Windows RDP, the Remote Desktop Protocol. And then the third one, what we want to introduce is about the Teradici PCoIP solution. Yeah. So let's go into the remote access tool. And in this part, I'm going to introduce the VNC viewer and also Windows RDP, because both of them are very popular for the most users. So I'm going to show how to install that and use those remote access tools to access our VMs running on top of the QNAP NAS. So the first one is the VNC. And actually, in the virtualization station, we already built in the VNC, the server. So that's why you can very easily to access the VM desktop via the web browser. Yeah. So besides that, if you have any preferred VNC client, you can also use the VNC client to access your the VMs. And then this is default ports for the VNC console, and we configure that is 5900 to 5930.
Okay.
So how we're gonna to use the VNC? Just there are 3 steps for your reference, and then in the following we're gonna to show you the real demo. The first one is you have to download the VNC client, such as the Ultra VNC or the VNC viewer. And the second, you have to know the specific the VNC port you use in your VM, and then later I will show you how to find out the exactly port you use. And the second one is very tricky. For this part, you have to enter your NAS IP instead of the VN IP because this VNC server is built in the virtualization station instead of the VM. So this is very easy way to use the VNC client.
Yes.
And the second one is about a Windows Remote Desktop. This is very popular, and also it is also very simple to use,
yes.
and then the user experience is also quite good. And this the Windows Remote Desktop tool. Actually, if your client is Windows OS, such as Windows 10 or maybe Windows Server, you don't have to install any tools because they're already built in. So what you have to do is that the first thing, you need to go to your Windows VM and then enable the remote desktop, allow the remote access. And the second, just go to your, in your client, such as MB or PC, you just launch the remote desktop connection, just like the right side is diagram, and then you just enter the Windows VM IP. Please aware that the IP is the VM instead of a virtualization station NAS IP.
Okay.
So this is the different compared with the VNC part. And if you already have a domain controller, then you may use the host name to access your desktop. And if you are a Mac client, and then you may have to install the Windows RDP app from the App Store. And then the configuration will be the same. The first thing you have to still go to the Windows VM, enable the remote access, and then launch the Microsoft Remote Desktop, just like a right side. The connection name, you can just specify what kind of name you want to use, and also IP address of the Windows VM, and then the credential is the username and the password. Yeah, this is about your Windows VM, the username and password. So after that, you can use the Windows Remote Desktop to access your Windows VM. Yeah. So having said that, you may still feel not that smooth, especially during the operation.
Yeah.
And also you may consider whether there is any malware or some backdoor, whether it will compromise your connection. You may think about that. So for those two perspectives, I think we may have to consider two things separately. The first thing, perhaps your application running on the VM require GPU acceleration, perhaps, because as you know, in the VM, all the applications processing is via the CPU because everything is the virtualized. So if your application requires such as the graphics intensive application, then you may need the GPU acceleration to help your user experience. The second one is about whether you choose the most suitable remote access tool depends on your needs. Have you considered about this? So if we go back to see the first thing, the GPU acceleration. For our QNAP NAS, actually is acquired 2 years ago. We already support a path through a discrete GPU card, such as NVIDIA or AMD. So once you have this GPU acceleration in the VM, and then the graphic intensive applications can leverage the GPU computing power, and then also offloading CPU the utilization. So this part could help the first items. And the second item, before we introduce our PCoIP solution, I still want to compare the VNC and the Windows RDP. Why you may feel like not good enough for your need. So if we're looking at the VNC, actually VNC is very popular, and then there are a variety of the free client choices for everyone. So you can depend on what is your favorite, and also it's very capable for the most of the OS, Linux, Windows, and even some the Unix system. But if we're talking about comms, because the VNC is more like the sharing the VMs, the keyboard and mouse for the multi-user access. So what you have to do may be shared with the other one, compared with the Windows RDP, because the Windows RDP requires the user a credential to log in, and it just only you can access this, the VM desktop. So compare the VNC, the Windows RDP has better the user experience, but only works for the Windows VM. So this depends on the unit compared with the VNC and the Windows RDP.
Okay.
Or besides that, there's also one thing you may have to think about. If you want to have an audio carryout, then as I know, the VNC hasn't yet to support it. So if you want to have some the video output to your client, and then I would suggest using the Windows remote desktop.
Okay.
However, we may have a better choice on top of those. This will be the PCoIP, the Teradici PCoIP solution, because it will be more secure and high image quality, and also highly responsive VA experience.
Okay.
So how it has happened? Because Teradici has their proprietary remote display. The protocol is called PCoIP, and PCoIP stands for PC over IP. So what they have done is about the server and client. So in the server, let's see, this is the Windows VM. All the images rendered on the Windows VM, and then captured as the pixels. And these pixels will be compressed, encoded, and also encrypted. So those the pixels transmitted to the client side. The client side will decrypt it and also decompression it. So you can imagine that all the desktop operation is only happen in the server, and then the image changes is encrypted as the pixel. So it will be more secure compared with you just sending out the one by one the image to the client. And also they have very good somehow it's a kind of a mechanism. If the network, the bandwidth is not that good enough, they also can adopt this environment and then provides low latency. So that's why they can provide very good the user experience. So as you can see the right diagram, you can see the original picture will be like that, and then for the PCoIP it's more like the real one, and they will show the details. If you are using the others, the protocol, maybe this is some not that real. Yeah. So this is why we compare with the Windows RDP. I think the PCoIP could provide better the user experience, especially for the low latency and the security. And also for the client side, the Teradici PCoIP also supports Windows, Linux, macOS, Chrome, Android, and iOS tablets. So you can use any either the notebook, PC, or mobile devices can access your remote desktop as well. In the Teradici PCoIP solution, this section, we're gonna to introduce the cloud access software. We want to introduce how we're using the cloud access software to access the VMs running on top of a QNAP NAS. So for the CAS, they say briefly, the CAS, they include 3 different the skill. The first one is about desktop access. I think this one is mainly focused on the VDI solution, the virtual desktop infrastructure. So this is for kind of the VMware Horizon or the Amazon the workspace user, and even the PCoIP Zero client. And the cloud access is used to connect Windows or the Linux, either the physical machine or the virtual machine. And the Cloud Access Plus is about if you lose the server, let's say the physical or virtual, there is some applications such as the graphic intensively, or you already have a GPU, the computing power there, then you may have to choose the Cloud Access Plus. Yeah, because depends on Teradici PCoIP solution, they separate into the different one. So if you consider using a GPU card in the QNAP NAS and also pass through that the GPU card, then you might have to use the Cloud Access Plus to get the better user experience. Okay. So this is the structure we present. So as you can see, the left one is a PCoIP software client. You can install in the Mac, Windows, or even Chromebook. And the right side is our NAS. And then the VM can be Linux or the Windows. And then you can also attach the path through the GPU card. And all the operations, that means the image, the change part, will just only transmit only the pixels, and those pixels are encrypted.
Interesting.
Yeah. So how we gonna to use the CS? It's very simple as well. It's the 3 steps. The first one, the same. You have to install the PCoIP host agent into the VM. And it depends on the VMs whether this is the GPU card or not, because you have to choose the standard one or the graphics one. The standard one just without the GPU card, and the graphics one, that means you already attached the GPU card.
Okay.
And the second, Teradici CS is proprietary, so you have to purchase the license first. So once you get the license, then you can go to the VM and enter your license to validate.
Okay.
Yeah. So once they validate, then you just need to download the software client in your notebook or the PC, and then just launch that.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's very simple to install the Teradici CS solution. So let's get into the real demo.
Okay.
Yep. Before we go into the Teradici PCoIP, I still want to show you how to use the Windows RDP and the VNC, for example, just quickly. So what I'm prepared is this is a NAS, and I already installed the Windows 10. So the first thing, just let you know how we can use the VNC client to access this VM. Normally, you can just click this one to access the VM via web browser. It's a very easy one. But if you already have your VNC client, such as VNC Viewer, it's very easy. You just type in NAS IP address. So for example, it's 172.170.30 and then 69. So once you click that, they just I mentioned before, you have to know what the specific port you use. So where we can find it, it's very easy. You just need move your mouse, hover the image, and as you can see, here's the VNC port using 5900. So it's very easy. You just add the 5900 here, just click connect, then you can use in the VNC client to access your VM.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's very easy to set up. But as you can see, this is some
latency.
Yeah, latency here. Okay. And then how about the Windows RDP? Windows RDP is quite easier because I'm using the Windows 10. So you can just using the remote desktop connection to access. So let's go back to see, this is my VM, and then what's the IP I have? Let's check. My IP is 3187. So in your desktop, you have to specify the 3187. So this is about the VM IP address instead of the virtualization one. So just connect that, then you just have to log in your user. Yeah, so depends on whether you have to use the certificate. If not, just click yes, and then you can go into this Windows VM as well. So this is about Windows RDP and the VNC, how you can access your VM. So let's talking about the PCoIP. So let's go back. I'm using another NAS here. Sorry. This is the VM. I already installed it, and I also passed through a GPU card. This is a NVIDIA one. So how I can access this? As I mentioned, the first thing is we need to install the PCoIP host agent. I already installed it. So what I can do is about the PCoIP software client in my notebook. So in this notebook, I already installed it. So what we can see is this software client. So you can choose the editor. Then you just need to insert the VM IP address. That VM with the PCoIP agent is 3189. So I just type in here and click next, and then they will also ask you whether you don't have the certificate or not. And then you can click connect. Then again, so you have to enter the username and password. So just log in. So right now you are using the Teradici PCoIP to access the VM. So let's see. View, show the full screen. Yeah. So let's see the PCoIP agent here, the licensing. So normally, once you already have the license you purchased, then you have to go to here to activate or validation your license. because I already validated my license here. So as you can see, the license is valid until the next year. Yeah. So right now, what I'm doing is already using the PCoIP.
Okay.
And then as you can see,
quite smooth.
Yeah, very smooth, and even I just can play a 4K video. Yeah, you will find out there will be a big difference compared with the VNC.
Yes.
Yeah, normally if you're already using the VNC to connect your VN, and then you will know it's kind of impossible to access like that.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, it's very easy to use, and then very smooth, secure.
Of course.
Yeah, and also the audio is also carried out, so you can listen the audio in your client.
Sure.
And also, if you want to using some USB disk from your client, it's also available. So normally, let's see here. Sorry, connect. Sorry, let me check. Client. Sorry. Normally, if I already plug in the USB device, it will be showing there, and then you can use the USB device to this VM console as well. Yeah, I think then there should be an option. But, okay, but anyway, so as you can see, it's very quite good if you are using the PCoIP.
Yeah, a lot difference between the remote desktop.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so let's go back to the slide.
Okay.
Yeah. But there's one thing you have to be to inform that the Teradici, they're also using some ports to communicate the license server and also PCoIP section. So if you are access the PCoIP host agent via the internet, then you may have to do some port forwarding.
Okay.
So this is about TCP 7070. It's about the license validation, and then 443 is about the client authentication, and the UDP, the 4172, is about PCoIP section. So if you already have some firewall rules, you can have to also
open these 3 ports.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So this is about a PCoIP solution. Yeah. And I want to show some advanced for your reference if you are consider to just like the central management system to manage the different VMs from a different environment, and then the Teradici PCoIP, they also provide a kind of this solution.
Yes.
If you can imagine that if you already have let's say the public cloud VM, and also maybe a different place you have a different NAS and also running some of the VMs on top of that, and how you can manage them in a single portal and assign the proper user to access that. Actually, Teradici CAS, the cloud asset software, also provide those solution.
Okay.
Yeah. It is using the Cloud Access Manager and the Cloud Access Connect. It's a little bit complicated, so let's just one by one to see. The first is about the Cloud Access Manager service. This is the Teradici CAS software as a service, the service there. So if you want to management different environments such as the public cloud or any on-premise environment, you can use this CM to control all of them. But you may use in the Cloud Access Connect as let's say the broker or the middleware in the different environment. So for example, if you already have some the VMs or the workstation on the public cloud, you may have to install the Cloud Access Connect in your cloud. Yes. Vice versa, on the premise, let's say maybe VMware or maybe NAS, QNAP NAS, you already have some the VMs there. You have to install the Cloud Access Connect there as well, and then you may have the domain controller to specify which the computer or the servers
Okay.
for Teradici PCoIP host agents.
Mm-hmm.
So once you install the Cloud Access Connect, and then you can using the CM to merge them. So once Connect install ready, then CMN can see that and also see the VM or the server PC in the environment. Then you can specify, okay, which the VMs or which the servers can be accessed by whom.
Got it.
Yeah. So this is about advanced usage. It depends on if you consider quite higher scalability, and then you can consider using the CM and also CAC as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is about today's guide.
Okay, so this is really interesting because I have seen, I just see the better performance than using like all the other software or solution I've been used. So if it's possible, I would definitely try the Teradici. And if you haven't tried this solution and you happens to have a QNAP NAS, you can try to use this and just follow the step from the demo that Alfred just taught us. So you can try to use your own remote. Is that remote desktop? No, you can
remote access.
Yeah, remote access by yourself. So if you like our video, please like and share. And if you want to see more, please go to live.qnap.com for more videos. And we will see you next time on QNAP Live Broadcast. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.